Hello and welcome to News Central TV. My name is Mazino Appeal. The top stories this hour. People's Democratic Party in Abia State expels chairman of the Board of Trustees, Adolphus Wabara, from party. And kidnappers kill ex-immigration Comptroller-General David Parradang in Abuja. Tunisia's opposition figures go on trial on state security charges. Details coming up shortly. You're welcome again. Now, reports just reaching us say no fewer than 16 people were burned beyond recognition, while 3 others sustained varying degrees of injuries in a fatal crash that occurred around 1 p.m. on Tuesday near Buhari Estate along the Abeokuta-Shagamu Expressway. The Ogun State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps confirmed the incident in a statement released by its spokesperson, Florence Ope. According to Ope, the lone crash involved a white Mazda bus which was carrying a filled cylinder, gas cylinder that is. The explosion, triggered by a fire outbreak, led to a loss of lives. She said out of a total of 21 people involved in the crash, 16 persons were burned beyond recognition, making it impossible to ascertain their genders, while 3 others sustained injuries and were rushed to the Federal Medical Center, Idiaba, Abeokuta. Away from that now, to political matters. The State Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party has expelled Board of Trustees Chairman of the party, Adolphus Wabara, from the party with immediate effect. Now, Chairman of the party in the state, Ame Abraham, announced his expulsion after a meeting with the state executive at the party's secretariat in Umuahia on Tuesday. A federal high court on Monday issued an injunction to Ame Abraham, restraining him from executing further suspension on Wabara. The Labour Party has dismissed the possibility of merging with any political party or group, stating that such a move is not under consideration. National Publicity Secretary Obiora Ifo made this clear in a statement in Abuja following calls by the Nigeria Labour Congress for rebranding efforts, including a possible merger or coalition. He warned the NLC leadership to steer clear of its administration and to stop trying to make decisions on behalf of the party. Obiora was reacting to calls for rebranding efforts, including a possible merger or coalition. The NLC, in a communique signed by its president, Joe Ajero, after its National Executive Council meeting in Yola, Adamawa State, emphasized the need to claim, or rather reclaim, the party and restore its ideological foundation. To help put this into perspective, we are joined by member Labour Party Monday Mawa. Mr. Mawa, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Grand. Now, what were the main factors that led to the Labour Party to rule out a merger ahead of the 2027 general elections?
Well, ordinarily, if you ask me, as it stands now, I think that should be the best alternative. Because if you can recall clearly, one of the major reasons why the All Progressive Congress was able to win the last general election was as a result of the coming into the ring of the Labour Party presidential candidate. Now, don't forget, if you look at the area that the Labour Party won in the last general election, those areas, particularly the South-South, South-East, they were mostly traditional area for the People Democratic Party. And so it was more like a splitter vote at the end of the day. So from what happened, if you combine the results of the Labour Party and that of the PDP, just the 2 parties alone, you would have seen or agree with me that if they had joined together, the PDP or the party who they would have given the ticket to would have won that general election, and not APC that we have today. So if we must look at the possibility of clinching power in 2027 from the All Progressive Congress, the only way out, in my humble view, is a merger and nothing more.
So how does the party plan to navigate potential coalition building opportunities without considering the merger you were speaking of?
Well, I think as at this moment, the party, apart from those that are just saying it behind the scene, but generally it has not become a matter on the table of the party. But I do not see why there should not be that. Of course, Mr. Obiora has spoken. I wouldn't want to say that would represent the full decision of the party as it stands now. Don't forget, 2027 is still some years ahead of us. We're in 2025. We still have between now to we still have 2026 to take a vital decision for the purpose of not just for personal reason, but for the common interest of the Nigerian people who are today crying for a genuine representation at the national level. Now, if you look at what is happening today, we have left what we used to be known, the dollar issue, the fuel issue, and all of that. What we used to know this country before the coming on board of this present administration. I think every Nigerian today wants a change of government at the national level, particularly. So for that to happen, I think Labour Party, between now and the middle of this year, or before the end of the year, I see the possibility of having a serious talk with other sister parties if we must rescue this country.
So do you think the NLC has any influence on the Labour Party's decision-making at all?
Well, I think this is not the first time I'm saying this on this station. To be sincere, NLC is a stakeholder in Labour Party. Anybody that is trying to say anything otherwise is only daydreaming.
Okay, so how does that shape the party's stance currently? Since you've just made that comment, how would you say it shapes the party's stance?
Yeah, when I say stakeholder, constricting their membership, and don't forget the Labour Constitution, party constitution recognized NLC, CUC, and their members. And that is why today, in the Labour Party constitution, there is a position of the Deputy National Chairman for the NLC, Deputy National Chairman for the TUC. They are not elective officers, but rather they are appointed. So that is to tell you how far they have stake in the party. However, I've always been one of those people who have always positioned that they do not own the party. But the fact that they are stakeholder in the party does not mean they are the owner of the party, just like some of them were trying to make the public to believe. I think sometime last year that they own Labour Party. No. Labour Party is like every other political party. But NLC is a stakeholder in it because of how the way and manner the party came into existence.
So noting that you've just said that they're stakeholders. All right, I'm sorry. Okay, so noting that you've just noted that they're...
Yes, the only thing I can say in respect of that, that they are stakeholders.
Okay.
But they are not the owner of the party.
So noting that they're stakeholders, according to you, how does the Labour Party envision its relationship with the NLC moving forward?
Well, I think, like we see Julius Abure trying to do now, let's pray what he's trying to do now is able to follow it through. He's trying to see how he can bring everybody now together. Of course, there has been infighting, just like we have in other political parties. So from the way it's moving around now, I see the possibility of him also embracing the NLC. Because if we're able to embrace the NLC and TUC, Labour Party will gain more from it than any other party. Because if every member of the Nigerian Labour Congress decide to enlist and registered with Labour Party, every member of TUC decide to register with Labour Party, I can assure you, my brother, will become the biggest party in Nigeria, if not in Africa. So there is a need to embrace them. There is a need to give them their due place as recognized by the Labour Party constitution, not for anybody trying to just grandstand and make them look like they are inconsequential. It's not correct. They are consequential, they are important, and they are stakeholder. but they are not the owner of the party.
Well, I want to say thank you very much, Mandimawa, for your contribution here this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now let's head to Rivers State, where reactions have continued to trail developments in the state as Governor Siminalayi Fubara has assured his supporters that victory is inevitable despite the political challenges in the state. Fubara took the stands during the commissioning of Government House staff quarters at the Forces Avenue in Port Harcourt. He noted that it's not just about winning, but about standing for truth and fighting gallantly, adding that the era of deception in the state is over, as the state is now determined to take control of its destiny. This comes as the House of Assembly gave Governor Fubara 48 hours to present the 2025 budget to the lawmakers.
I want to assure you, all our supporters, I know the news that broke out on Friday must have dampened your spirit. Raise up. What is ahead is more than what we just passed. So, as a human being, I know you feel somehow, but just relax. God has our back. Our back is not on anybody, it's God. I want to thank you for your support and assure you that if there is one person on this planet Earth that will continue to stand by you, I will be that person. I assure you that I will lead you with honor. I will lead you with respect. And I will lead you with integrity, knowing that when I leave here, I will have questions to answer. If I'm called upon 20 years, 30 years from today, I want to be proud to defend my position.
In the meantime, the Joint National Congress has issued a strong warning against any attempt to impeach Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara, threatening that it cannot guarantee peace in the Niger Delta region if such actions are pursued. The INC condemned last Friday's Supreme Court ruling, which affirmed 27 lawmakers loyal to Minister Nyesom Wike as the legitimate members of the State House of Assembly, describing the decision as potentially destabilizing for the region. INC President Professor Benjamin Okaba criticized the ruling for overlooking the Ijaw people's historical and political contributions to the state's leadership. He stressed that undermining Governor Fubara's position could have severe consequences for both national peace and the region's economic stability. Meanwhile, the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission has announced a stakeholders meeting to unveil a timetable and guidelines for the 2025 local government elections in Rivers State. The meeting will be held on Wednesday at the Commission's headquarters in Port Harcourt. A statement signed by the Chairman, Electoral Commissioner Justice Adolphus Enebeli, invited registered political parties, traditional rulers, security agencies, religious organizations, media representatives, professional organizations, civil society groups, NGOs, community-based groups, and the electorate. Official presentation of timetable and guidelines for a fresh local government election across Rivers State are expected at the meeting. Earlier, Public Affairs Analyst Francis Chilaka shared his thoughts on the development in Rivers State.
This brouhaha going on in Rivers State, how is it adding value to the lives of the Rivers State people? This Amahelu's group, 26 members, who have since inception created problem, made it ungovernable for the governor to work. Are they not thinking of the people? So for me, it's all about selfishness, it's all about greed, it's all about the political class and not about the people. So even if it doesn't present the budget as they have requested, it is the people that will suffer it. So I think that rather than coming out with coming to a stick fight with AK-47, they should apply wisdom Right now, what we need in Rivers State is wisdom to prevail and not grandstanding. Because grandstanding will not help anybody. It will not help the governor. It will not help the honorable members. Neither will it help the teeming citizens of Rivers State.
Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State says he will disclose his preferred successor in January of 2026. Makinde spoke during the 11th Omitutu Ramadan lecture, which took place at the Government House Arcade in Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The lecture, titled Benefits of Being a Good Neighbor, an Islamic Perspective, was delivered by Yunus Olushina Teliat, Grand Chief Imam of Ogbomoland. Religious and political leaders, including Rashidi Ladoja, a former governor of the state, attended the event. In a short address, Makinde said the lecture provided him the opportunity to appreciate Muslim leaders in the state for their support for his administration. Now we take our first break, and when we get back, kidnappers kill ex-Immigration Comptroller-General David Parradang in Abuja. Details of this and more after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now to security matters. David Shikfu Parradang, a former Comptroller-General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, has been killed by kidnappers in Abuja. Citing sources, counter-insurgency experts Zagazola Makama said Parradang was abducted in the Area 1 axis of Abuja in the early hours of Tuesday. Makama said after being trailed from a bank where he had withdrawn money, the assailants took the cash from him before eventually killing him. Parradang, who served in the NIS for over 30 years, held various positions across the country, including Comptroller-General. During the period, he served in no fewer than 4 states and the FCT. Security agencies have reportedly launched an investigation into the incident. Gunmen have kidnapped Philip Ekeni, a Catholic priest, and Peter Andrew, a seminarian from St. Peter Catholic Church in Esako East local government area of Edo State. The attack occurred around 11:30 p.m. on Sunday, but was confirmed by police sources on Tuesday. Security operatives, including members of the Rapid Response Squad, were mobilized to the scene where they confirmed the abduction of the priest and the seminarian. The attackers reportedly whisked them into the bush. The report added that local vigilantes engaged the gunmen, killing one of the assailants during the attack. His body was deposited at the General Hospital mortuary in Agenebode. Items recovered from the scene include a button phone, cash, and other items. Now away from that, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Shamsideen Ogunjimi as the new Accountant General of the Federation. The statement on Tuesday by Bayo Onanuga, the President's Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, said Ogunjimi's appointment will take effect on March 7th, the same day incumbent Oluwatoyin Madehin will retire. Ogunjimi was named as Madehin's successor last December. Onanuga's statement notes that Ogunjimi's choice was ratified by a selected committee, or rather selection committee, through a competitive process involving directors of accounts in the Federal Civil Service, which conducted 3 stages of selection, including a written assessment, an ICT proficiency test, and oral interviews. Nigeria's Minister of Industries, Trade and Investment, Olajumoke Oduwole, has unveiled plans by the ministry to accelerate plans for an industrial revolution in the country. Oduwole, while briefing newsmen during the ministerial scorecard series which held in the nation's capital, Abuja, says that following the ministry's recent engagement with stakeholders in the southwest region of the country, an industrial revolution task group has been formed which will re-engineer the nation's industrial revolution plan and develop sustainable long-term strategies for the sector.
Now, the key outcomes of this engagement was the announcement of the establishment of the Industrial Revolution Work Group, an elite task force focused on re-engineering the Nigerian Industrial Revolution Plan for a modern, innovation-driven economy. The work group has sub-technical teams dedicated to resolving critical industrial bottlenecks and developing long-term strategies for sectoral growth. So this is the granular work that the ministry team, the directors, and the nearly 2,000 people I spoke about are working on practically and tangibly.
Nigeria's electricity power generation capacity reached a new peak of 5,713.6 megawatts, according to the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Now, this marks the highest power output since 2001, surpassing previous peak of 5,543.2 megawatts recorded in February of 2025. TCN confirmed that the full 5,713 megawatts was successfully transmitted across the country. While the new peak falls short of the all-time high of 5,801.6 megawatts reached in March of 2021, it remains a significant milestone. Additionally, Nigeria set a new record for maximum daily energy, reaching 125,542.06 megawatts hours, exceeding the previous record of 125,159.48 megawatts hours, set just a month ago. Still on electricity matters, Lagos residents are bracing for a potential increase in electricity tariffs, a move that could have significant economic and social consequences. The proposed hike seeks to align tariffs for customers in the Band B and C categories with the 206 naira per kilowatt rate paid by Band A customers, who make up approximately 15% of the total 12.82 million power consumers nationwide. The proposed hike, which is expected to take effect soon, has sparked reactions from consumers, business owners, and economic analysts. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, is reportedly considering an upward review of power tariffs, citing rising operational costs, inflation, and the depreciation of the naira as key reasons for the adjustment. If implemented, Lagos residents could see their electricity bills increase, a burden many say they cannot afford in an already struggling economy.
The electricity is not even constant, and it's supposed to be part of the social amenities we're supposed to enjoy as a Nigerian. And increasing it when you're not bringing it the way you ought to bring it is not fair on our own side as a citizen.
Increasing the tariff now, I think is going to be unbearable for us to cope with presently.
It's getting to a point whereby people will fix their lights in the night, remove it in the morning, because they are trying to cut costs. So the increase is already killing. It's telling on the business, things are expensive, people are no longer finding it funny, people are dying, people are suffering, and the next thing the government to think about is increasing electricity.
Saying that we are going to be experiencing a new hike, it's obviously going to affect cost of production. It's going to affect how we charge customers. So in that place, customers might have to draw back a bit sometimes, because when we offer them invoices and bills, they tend to want to haggle and all that, and then it affects how much business we also get.
Small businesses, manufacturers, and households fear that this move will further escalate the cost of living, affecting productivity and livelihoods. Meanwhile, consumer rights groups and labor unions have called on the government to reconsider the decision, urging authorities to explore alternative ways of stabilizing the power sector without placing more financial strain on citizens.
We have had enough of increases in the price of the bandwidth, and we don't want any further increase. Our electricity that is not enough for us, that we are generating that is not enough, we are giving to some other West African countries. Benin Republic, Togo, Ghana, you are giving them, and yet they are also generating on their own. Most of the time we just say they are owing us money. Why can't you give your own people? Let Nigerians enjoy. It is the one that should be left over that we should give to other countries. Why are we doing no money no kuno?
As the debate continues, Lagos residents and businesses anxiously await an official announcement from NERC and electricity distribution companies. Will the government intervene to cushion the effects, or will consumers have to adjust to higher costs? In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Nweli.
And now to education. Members of the House of Representatives on Tuesday voted overwhelmingly to pass for second reading a bill seeking to empower polytechnics to award bachelor degrees. Sponsored by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and Faoud Laguda, an all-progressive Congress lawmaker from Lagos State, The proposed legislation aims to amend the Federal Polytechnics Act 2004. The bill proposes an amendment to Section 3 of the Principal Act to include representatives of the National Board for Technical Education and Manufacturers Association of Nigeria in the Council of every polytechnic in Nigeria, and to enlarge the powers of the Academic Board to award Bachelor of Technology to graduating students. Coming up, Tunisia's opposition figures go on trial on state security charges. Details after the break. And you're welcome back. The trial of several prominent Tunisian opposition figures accused of national security offenses opened on Tuesday, with rights groups denouncing the case as politically motivated. The around 40 high-profile defendants include former diplomats, politicians, lawyers, and media figures, some of whom have been vocal critics of President Kais Saied. Those already in detention were not allowed to attend the trial in person and followed it remotely. Their lawyers and rights groups argue this was unjust and demanded their rights to appear before a judge.
اللي موجود اليوم في القضية هو مؤامرة، ولكن مش مؤامرة سياسيين وإنما مؤامرة السلطة ضد المعارضة.
اليوم يجيوا بمناسبة محاكمة جائرة لعدد من الشخصيات المرموقة في تونس المعروفة بسلميتها بالتزامها بالقانون، اللي هي عندها معناها أماكن للسكنة معروفة ولها مهن معروفة. يجيوا اليوم يقولوا أن حضورهم في المحكمة يهدد الأمن القومي. هذم يكلموا في رواحهم، ما همش يكلموا لا في المواطنين ولا في النخب ولا في العالم. احنا لن نكون جزء من مسخرة قضائية.
African nations are forging new partnerships in the name of economic growth. In a bold move, Zimbabwe is reaching out to its regional and continental neighbors, including Nigeria, to bolster its economic ties and attract foreign investment. The Zimbabwe Embassy, together with the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair partners, have convened at a gathering of forward-thinking business leaders for an exclusive event that marked a new chapter in Zimbabwe's economic narrative, calling on businesses to invest in Zimbabwe. News Central's Bongani Sisiba has more.
A bold statement of intent, Zimbabwe opens the door to a new era of economic partnership as business leaders from Zimbabwe gather in Johannesburg, united by a common vision to revive the economy of the country.
We are gathered here for a shared purpose, whose essence is to explore, to develop, to diversify, and deepen the trade and economic relations between Zimbabwe and the countries, the organizations, and entities that you represent. It is our expectation that the event we are having this morning will create the opportunity and enable us to achieve this primary objective.
This declaration is not just rhetoric, it is a significant commitment as the Zimbabwe International Trade Fair serves as a cornerstone of this initiative, exemplifying the dedication to attracting investment and fostering partnership.
We decided to step out and engage and invite colleagues who are here in South Africa to come to exhibit or participate as delegates or as service providers for our Zimbabwe International Trade Fair 65th Blue Sapphire edition, which will be in Bulawayo in April.
As Zimbabwe seeks to establish economic partnerships across the region, Nigeria stands out as a key ally. This gathering highlights the potential for collaboration, leveraging the strength of both nations.
But Nigeria, with its population, is a big market and can produce these material that can go into production, leaving Zimbabwe as intermediary projects finished or completed in Nigeria. These are possibilities, and we need to get around the table, obviously, and have conversations with Nigerian private sector players as to how we can make this happen.
And
With a wealth of resources and a young dynamic force, Zimbabwe is ready to showcase its potential, and the upcoming ZITF will be a vital platform spotlighting the lucrative trade and investment opportunities available. As Zimbabwe charts its path towards economic revival, the call to action echoes throughout the region for collaborations, and the nation invites businesses across the region to be part of this transformative journey. For Zimbabwe, the possibilities are limitless. The future for a greater economic revival starts now. In Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Sizwa.
Still ahead, Poland accuses U.S. of suspending military aid to Ukraine without consulting its NATO allies. Details after the break. Join us then. Poland said on Tuesday a U.S. suspension of military aid to Ukraine had led to a very serious situation, stressing Washington had taken the decision without consulting its NATO allies. The shock decision on Monday comes after a public debate in the White House between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukraine counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky. Foreign Ministry spokesman Paweł Wronski said it had been taken without informing nor consulting the United States allies in the U.S.-led NATO military alliance. Meanwhile, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said a U.S. freeze on military aid to Kiev was visible at the country's logistics hub, transferring weapons and humanitarian aid to neighboring Ukraine.
Być może to zdanie zabrzmi banalne, ale ono ma wielkie znaczenie politycznie. Została ona podjęta bez żadnych informacji, ani konsultacji, ani z sojusznikami NATO, ani z grupą Rammstein zajmującą się wsparciem walczącej Ukrainy.
Nie mamy dzisiaj żadnego powodu, aby sądzić, że są to tylko słowa. Zresztą meldunki, które napływają z granicy, z naszego hubu, wiesiące też potwierdzają zapowiedzi strony amerykańskiej. I to oczywiście stawia na Europę, Ukrainę, oczywiście Polskę w...
In the meantime, the World Health Organization has pledged to persist in its mission despite substantial funding cuts resulting from the United States' recent decision to withdraw from the organization. This move has led to a significant reduction in financial support affecting various global health initiatives. WHO spokeswoman Margaret Harris acknowledged that certain programs have been directly impacted by the funding cuts, notably the global measles surveillance network, which was entirely financed by the United States.
Basically, we continue our work. Our work is to ensure that the highest level of health is achieved by all people, and changes in funding, changes in donation, of course, are big challenges. But as the Director General said, we have broadened and looked at broadening our funding base. We've gone through transformation, and we won't let the people of the planet down. We just have to be more innovative. We have to talk.
Serbian opposition lawmakers lit flares and discharged suspected tear gas during the opening day of the spring session of Parliament on Tuesday in a sign of support for ongoing anti-corruption protests. A live video feed showed Parliamentary Speaker Ana Brnabić lambasting the opposition's protest and use of tear gas in the assembly. Serbia has been rocked for months by students-led anti-corruption protests following the fatal collapse of a train station roof last year that killed 15 people.
Narodna skupština Republike Srbije će nastaviti da radi. Mi imamo posao koji moramo da završimo zbog građana Republike Srbije. Mi moramo da usvojimo zakon o visokom obrazovanju i time ispunimo studentske zahteve. Mi moramo da usvojimo zakon o jeftinim...
Torrential rains and an overflowing river flood dense residential areas in East Jakarta, causing thousands to be temporarily displaced. Thousands of houses have been affected, with floodwaters reaching 3 meters high in some areas, according to the Disaster Mitigation Agency. There are no immediate reports of casualties after the latest deluge, but parts of the city, home to around 11 million people, ground to a halt as whole neighborhoods were swamped in muddy water. Heavy rain began on Monday, causing some flooding in Jakarta and nearby the cities of Bogor, Bekasi, and Tangerang. In Bogor, more than 300 people were evacuated, dozens of houses were damaged, and one bridge collapsed.
Saya lagi tidur bang, ya dapat berita dari kiriman dari Bogor bahwa ketinggian Katulampa jadi siaga 1. Nah, habis itu air tiba-tiba langsung datang pagi-pagi hari. Nah, jadi saya tidak bisa bekerja bang. Wah, kerusakan banyak bang. Seperti kayak baju-baju saya kotor, sepatu saya hanyut, helm saya, TV saya kerendam juga bang. Ya, kulkas, mesin cuci, pada kerendam bang.
Kalau dari habis sahur sih saya udah bebenah ya, karena kan dari ketinggian handphone aja saya udah bisa nebak nih bakal gede airnya kan. Karena kan saya punya aplikasi dari BNPB. Nah dari situ saya udah mulai siap-siap gitu. Lagi pula dari yang kemarin banjir juga saya juga udah nggak nurunin barang elektronik dulu gitu, yang udah ada di rumah aja yang dibersihin udah aja gitu. Nggak pakai turunin lagi. Nggak taunya banjirnya lebih gede sekarang dibanding yang kemarin. Ya bilikmanya aja deh. Apa yang dikeluhin, emang udah terbiasa kayak gini keadaannya kan. Nikmatin aja, nggak usah pakai nangis, nggak usah ngeratap, nikmatin aja. Masih dikasih rezekinya air, gitu aja, kasih sehat. Gitu aja sih mas.
Now, ground handling firms involved in Nigerian aviation have requested concessionary loans and tariff waivers from Nigeria's federal government. According to Olani Adigun, chairman of the Aviation Ground Handlers Association of Nigeria, added that the industry's low profit margins made doing business hazardous. The operators stated that in order to stay in business, they needed the government's support. The group adds that the federal government waived custom fees for domestic airlines for nearly 10 years, but that handling companies with significant financial investments received different treatments. U.S. President Donald Trump's new tariff on imports from Mexico, Canada, and China have taken effect, igniting trade conflicts with the country's top 3 trading partners. The 25% duties on Mexican and Canadian goods and doubles 20% duties on Chinese goods aim to address fentanyl flow into the U.S., China, Canada, and Mexico are retaliating with tariffs and trade restrictions, disrupting nearly $2.2 trillion in annual U.S. trade and sparking global economic uncertainty. China has swiftly retaliated against the U.S. fresh tariffs, imposing 10% to 15% hikes on American agricultural and food products. The move brings the world's top 2 economies closer to an all-out trade war. China's tariff will target U.S. goods such as chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, as well as soybeans, pork, and beef. The escalation threatens to derail negotiations between the 2 nations, with analysts warning of a prolonged trade conflict. The tariffs took effect on March 4. Sports now. Super Eagles head coach Eric Seko, Chile, has unveiled a 39-man provisional squad for Nigeria's 2023 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. The list includes key players like Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman, William Ekong, Wilfred Ndidi, and Alex Iwobi. Veterans Ahmed Musa and Samuel Chukwueze make a return, while there are first-time call-ups for defender Igor Obu and Slavia Prague and Ifeanyi Onyebuchi of Enugu Rangers. Midfielders Christiantus Uche of Getafe and Anthony Dennis of Gotspe, and also striker Jerome Ako Adams of Sevilla. Nigeria, currently 5th in Group C, faces Rwanda on March 21 in Kigali before hosting Zimbabwe on March 25 in Uyo. The final squad will be trimmed to 23 players ahead of the matches. Teenage fencer Nkosi Bro has won Nigeria's first medal at the 2025 African Junior Fencing Championship in Luanda, Angola, marking a major milestone for the Nigerian Fencing Federation. Bro, a US-based athlete, secured the only medal for a sub-Saharan African nation on the 1st of March. His achievement highlights Nigeria's growing presence in international fencing. Before Angola, Bro competed at the Almaty Serba FIE Junior World Cup in February. Meanwhile, fellow Nigerian fencer Peluola Akimba Miro missed her first bout due to a last-minute schedule change. Looking ahead, the NFF is preparing for the WOXI World Championship in April and the Senior African Championship in June. Bayern Munich has honored late club legend Franz Beckenbauer by displaying a massive replica of his iconic number 5 jersey on the roof of the Allianz Arena. The 15-meter by 10-meter tribute was installed ahead of Wednesday's match against Bayern Leverkusen. Beckenbauer, who passed away in January 2024, remains a pivotal figure in Bayern's history, winning 3 European Cups, 4 Bundesliga titles, and 2 Ballon d'Or awards. Bayern retired his jersey number, a first in the club's history. Additionally, Munich City Council renamed the stadium street to Franz Beckenbauer, marking its official address number 5 in his honor. And the New York Athletics Commission will review the controversial 9th-round timeout granted to Gervonta Davis during his majority draw against Lamont Roach Jr. in their WBA lightweight title fight. Davis took a knee, but the referee did not rule it a knockdown, allowing him to wipe his eyes with a towel. A knockdown for Roach could have changed the fight's outcome. The commission cited a technical issue that delayed replay access, relying instead on the referee's decision. While Davis retained his title, the result sparked calls for a rematch, initially dismissing the idea. Davis later announced he was pursuing for a rematch, potentially by May's end. The commission aims to prevent future replays issues of officiating. Now, Ferrari has won a legal battle in Italy, preventing former technical director Enrico Cadil from joining Aston Martin until the 18th of July. The dispute arose after Cadil left Ferrari for a chief technical officer role at Aston Martin, with Ferrari arguing that his early move would provide their rivals with an unfair advantage. A Modena court ruled in Ferrari's favor, enforcing a non-complete clause in Cadil's contract. Ferrari accused Cadil of violating its commitment, or rather this commitment, emphasizing that the restriction was in place to protect them from irreparable harm. The ruling ensures that Aston Martin cannot immediately benefit from Cadil's expertise, maintaining competitive balance in Formula One as teams prepare for the second half of the season. And that's all this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The People's Democratic Party in Abia State has expelled Chairman of the Board of Trustees Adolphus Wabara from the party. And kidnappers have killed ex-Immigration Comptroller-General David Parradang in Abuja. And we also told you that Tunisia's opposition figures have gone on trial on state security charges. Now, to remember, you can watch News Central live on DSTV Channel 422, Star Times Channel 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.